One of the most common mistakes I see home sellers make is overpricing their house. And this one mistake will actually cost you thousands of dollars. I see it over and over where sellers says, hey, let me test it. Maybe there will be a buyer for that. Let's just see what happens, right? Over and over in my experience, I see this specific move backfire and you end up losing thousands of dollars versus if you would have priced right from the get-go. So let me share a little bit behind the scenes to what it takes to price the house accurately, so this way you sell with the most amount of money possible. You sell it quicker and you get a very strong buyer. By the way, if we haven't met, my name is Damian Trofimovich. I'm a team leader of Trofimovich Group at eXp Realty. Been doing this for 10 plus years, ranked in the top 100 agents in the state of Minnesota. So please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Let me bring you behind the scenes to how I accurately help my clients price their house. First, we want to get to know your house. What does your house look like? Where is it located? What's the size of your house? What kind of style is your house? Do you have any new unique features that we need to know? Maybe it's facing a pond, maybe it's a private wooded lot. What kind of basement do you have? Is it a walkout, lookout? Is it unfinished basement? All these things are very important. So once we gather all that information, then we start doing our homework on comparable sales. What you want to do is you want to look at comparable sales within the last 6 months. We don't want to look at stuff 2 years back. I see it a lot where the seller says, hey, my neighbor sold the house for this, and that was back in 2022 when the market was crazy. That house, that comparable sales is invalid, okay? So we want to look at the most recent sales. So we'll pull comps from the last 6 months. We want to first focus on location. We want to be within a half a mile radius. And if you don't get enough comps within that proximity, we might want to expand a little bit, but we don't want to go too far. I always try to start with a specific neighborhood, and then if I don't have enough comps, I start expanding it little by little. We want to look at the specific style of your home. If your home is two-story, we want to look at two-story homes. If it's a rambler, we want to compare it to ramblers, all right? Same thing with square footage. If your house is 3,000 square foot, we don't want to pull up comparable sales that are only 1,000. Big difference in price. And of course, we want to look at bedrooms, bath, type of house, type of basement, look at the unique features your house has to offer. So once we look at that, we start comparing them side by side, all right? A great agent will thoroughly do the market analysis manually through MLS versus putting it in some cloud-based program to make sure we get the most accurate comps for your house. Another important factor to consider is not just the closed sales. We want to look at the active inventory. What is our competition looks like nearby? If your neighbor's house is for sale, that's very similar to yours, same size, same backdrop, and it's been sitting for 60, 90 days, that tells us a story that homes like that at that price are not moving. So if your house is very similar, unless you have something amazing that this house doesn't have, we probably have to come in competitive either at that price or under. Also, let's say you have a bunch of new construction nearby. I've seen it over again where if you list your house and you're competing with new construction where builders are dropping prices like crazy, giving rate buy downs and just all discounts, it's hard to compete with that. So where do we need to be so we are competitive against the new construction nearby? So looking at the active sales is very important. Another bonus tip is you want to price the house based on where the market is heading. If we head into spring market, we have a lot more demand, we may be able to price a little bit more competitively. If we heading into winter market, okay, just because this house next door sold for 500,000, you pricing at 500 might actually put you in a bad position. And look, I get it. We all want to sell our houses for as much as we can. I've sold plenty of houses of my own where I was going through the similar thought process. Well, hey, maybe if I put extra 10,000, it might be the right buyer. But my gut always told me, follow truly what you believe, and I always believe at pricing the house at market price. Of course, there are times where you can test it, right? If there's no other house for sale similar than yours, maybe do go extra 10, 15, 20,000 and see if we get a buyer. But in the current real estate market, doing that typically backfires, all right? Buyers are smarter. Buying a house is actually a lot more expensive than it was a few years ago. So anytime you're overshooting, you're actually reducing the chances of potential buyer coming through the door. On my listing presentation, I usually have this graph. It's a triangle, right? So at the tip, you have what it says 10%. And what that 10% means is the higher your price, you'll have less amount of buyers who will be actually ready to buy your house or actually looking at that specific price point or willing to write an offer at that price. As you go down, that space gets bigger. So that means you have way more buyers looking at this and are willing to look at the property, willing to write stronger offers without trying to lowball. And of course, if, the lower you get, the bigger space, the more buyers are actually looking. I usually find that that sweet spot is in the middle, right? Where we're not underpricing, we're not overpricing, but we're giving ourselves the best possible shot at getting a good buyer, good offer, and selling quicker. The biggest downfall of overpricing is staying on the market for too long. The longer you're on the market, the more buyer looks at your property is like, what is wrong with it? Why did nobody else buy it? So what happens then when someone comes to see your house, they're either gonna lowball it, or if you don't get any offers, you're now reducing your price to maybe that initial market price that we discussed, and then those days on the market are still ticking, and then the next offer will actually come in less than that market price. I see it often and often happen. A good story here, I had a property in Eden Prairie, talked with a client, and I said list at 300 because I've seen what was happening in that specific market. I knew going anything higher, they'll be overpricing. Well, he wanted to test the market. He listed at 320. What happened over time, we ended up reducing all the way to 300. We ended up getting an offer at 192, paying all the closing costs. Long story short, it dragged out for way too long and he lost a ton of money. He would have listed initially at 300. He would have sold within the first couple weeks because that was a competitive market price. Here's another good example. Clients in Cottage Grove. Comps came in at 375. So that's exactly what we did. We listed at 375. What happened then is they actually sold 15 grand over list price while similar houses in the neighborhood were sitting because we priced properly up front, right? We weren't trying to chase the market backwards. So those are my few tips as far as what to consider. For more tips like this, guys, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section and share this video with someone who's looking to sell a house soon.